Hello and welcome to Season 4 of the NGO Whisperer Show. My name is Dr. Carolyne Opinde. I'm the founder of the NGO Whisperer and the convener of the NGO Whisperer Masterclass, the official sponsors of the NGO Whisperer Show. Joining us today from Cape Town, South Africa is Leana de Beer. She is the CEO of Feenix. Feenix is a crowdfunding platform for South African students. Leana, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. It's really an honor to be here and to talk to you today.
What a pleasure, what an honor it is. In South Africa, June is the month of the week, and on the 16th of June, we celebrate how young people took on leadership to change the history of South Africa. And today, we're going to look at how young people of today in South Africa can raise funds to support their education through this innovative platform called Feenix. Before we get into that, I would like us to first just talk about who is Leana de Beer.
So, like you said, I'm Leana de Beer. I am the CEO of Feenix. I'm also the CEO of another company called Opinde, which is a social enterprise. I would call myself a social innovator and a social entrepreneur. I've been in the social entrepreneurship and NGO space for about 5-6 years. Before I joined this space or entered this space, I was in television and film and media. And before that, I worked in fashion, which feels so very long ago. But I'm very much someone that follows my heart and follows the gaps. So I've always been community orientated since I was a little girl. I've always worked in community orientated environments. And over the years, it kind of just, the road just got me to where I am now. I'm very much a self-starter. I believe in collaboration and bringing people together. 2016, I did my MBA at UCT in Cape Town and used that kind of as a springboard to flip away from where I was into more social orientated work. And in 2017, we started Feenix, the crowdfunding platform.
That is wonderful. Speaking of your social innovation work, and I know you've worked in a variety of industries, including fashion industry, I would like you to share with us what are some of your most successful projects that you have implemented?
So I think the two that we're currently working on, we started Feenix in 2017, very much as a result to what happened in South Africa, which is called #FeesMustFall, which was a movement started by youth, by South African students across the campuses in South Africa, protesting the high cost of tertiary education. And we wanted to get involved. And during that time, a lot of people wanted to support students, but no one knew how to do that in a way that was accountable and transparent. So we created Feenix, the crowdfunding platform, really as a result to bridge those communities and formalize fundraising efforts for students. I also in 2019 started an organization called Opinde, which is the Feenix Social Enterprise, which is a for-profit social enterprise. And in Opinde, we are focusing on looking at connecting and building new models and new technology to democratize the access of education in South Africa as well. And both of these work closely together, and I'm very proud of both of these organizations. Feenix is a nonprofit and operate as a nonprofit, but we very much tackle it as a tech startup. And then Opinde is a tech startup, but we use nonprofit elements in Opinde. And that hybrid model has really allowed us to I think be successful in both, and that kind of coming from my background, which is very hybrid. I think that's one of my strengths. I've also consulted on numerous businesses. I sit on the board of several businesses. I've worked on community garden projects. I've worked on a range of different things. I've run some mentorship programs for young people. So very passionate about the space, but these two are the two that I'm most proud of and currently in it. So I feel like it's apt to mention them.
Speaking of Feenix, share with us really, how do you identify eligible students, and then how do you onboard them on the Feenix platform?
When we started Feenix, it was very important for us to create a platform where young people could promote themselves, empower themselves, and showcase what they wanted to showcase. So that was the first thing that was really important for us. And then on the funder side, there's a lot of money in the world, and there's a lot of money in South Africa. I mean, South Africa's got one of the worst Gini coefficients in the world. So we wanted to bridge those two communities and say, we know there's a lot of people that's passionate about education. How could we bring those two groups together? So we started Feenix as a crowdfunding platform with very limited criteria. So if you are studying at one of the 26 public universities, if you are a South African citizen, a permanent resident, or you have official refugee or asylum seeker status, and your household income needs to be below, this might not be so relevant for people outside of South Africa, but needs to be below 600,000 Rand annually, so that we could make sure that the money goes to the right places. But that's it. That's the only criteria we look at for a young person to go to the platform. And then what we do to kind of de-risk any potential loss of funding, none of the money goes to the student directly, which is not the traditional crowdfunding platform. It goes to the university. So we have partnerships with 26 universities. We work really hard at those stakeholder engagements. And then as the money is raised on the platform, we confirm the debt of the student at the university, and that money then flows directly from us into the student's account at the university. So that gives the funder and the donor kind of ease of mind to know that the money that's raised goes to the right places. Because in reality, Caroline, like many young people in South Africa, don't have financial literacy background, so they don't know how to manage money well. And the second thing is, a lot of young people come from families where they struggle, and a lot of that funding that they then get for their education, they get pressure to put that money back into the family. So even in South Africa, we've got the government funding scheme, and a lot of students are on that. I mean, South Africa spends more on education than any other department in the country. So we spend billions of rands on education each year. And a lot of young people that sit in a specific bracket gets funding support from government, but that money often then goes to the family instead of the student's education. So we wanted to support the student, but also eliminate that element. And instead of giving a student a chunk of money, is allocate that to their student account. So that's really one of the ways that we've built this platform over the last 4 years. Like I said, we started in 2017, so we're still learning and growing, but we've been able to help over 2,000 students and help students raise around 77 million Rand in the last 4 years. So I think those success indicators show the success of the platform.
That is commendable. I just love the notion on which Feenix is built upon. People give to people. And so you have partners that you collaborate with to do this work, as well as individual donors. Could you share with us how you ensure a good fit? For example, if the NGO Whisperer were to come on board, there are over 2,000 students on your platform. Who do we support?
So when a student onboards themselves, they have to provide, of course, what they're studying, where they're studying, a photo of themselves, as well as their story. So students, and that was that important part of the student's own voice. The student then tells their story, who they are, what their aspirations are, their dreams are, and that sits in the public domain. So first of all, any individual funder could go into the Feenix platform, and there's a filtering criteria. So you could say, I'm really passionate about STEM fields. I'm really passionate about equality for women in education. So I really want to support women in science, and I want to support Black women in science. And then you can go and find that information, filter it out, and then we'll give you all of the students that fit that criteria. And you can then read through the stories and support those specific students that you resonate with. We don't want to tell the funder who to support. We want to provide that access. But funders, like you say, give to people, and you don't know what's going to resonate with the funder. What we see, for example, happen, we were just in a meeting with a potential grantor yesterday, and someone on the board of that company one of the students went to the same high school. And this funder loved it so much and said, that's the student I want to support because we come from the same neighborhood or the same high school. So you would have only known that if because of the information we collect on behalf of the student. Here in South Africa, it's critical that we talk, about equity and equality. And the only way for us to do that is to speak about people's race and speak about people's gender. And people, want to give to specific groupings that they are passionate about and believe need support. So we make all of that open and then provide access for the funder to find the student they resonate with. On the corporate side, let's say NGO Whisperer comes to us, we're sitting on this database, so we are able to pull groups of specific kinds of students, like I said, on behalf of you, so you don't have to go through every story, and we can give you a list of those students that fit. We also work very closely with universities. So let's say we don't have the student that you're specifically looking for, we tap into our networks. Last year, a funder came to us and they were looking specifically to support students with disabilities, and we were able to go to the disability units on campus, and through that partnership find the kind of students that they were looking to support. So we are able to be very agile in that approach, and I think that is one of our unique points on the Feenix platform.
You mentioned previously that the funding doesn't go directly to a bank account owned by the students, but it goes to the institution of higher learning, one of the 26 that you have partnered with, and that funding pays for their tuition fees. What is your take on the daily support and the means of support? For example, for students who are in the university, they live in the residence, some of them cannot afford it, or transport to move from one place to another. What kind of support is available for students who do not have the means to support their everyday needs?
That is a very fair question and a big challenge for us because, we promise transparency and accountability, and students, many students live, at home and then take a taxi. And that's very informal. It's a cash payment system and we can't track or trace that. And in the bursary or scholarship or NGO education NGO space, most students receive stipends. So at Feenix at the moment, we provide support for anything that we can prove on a fee statement. So for some students that include on-campus residence, it includes food, internet, books, data, all of that, plus their tuition. For some students, we're not able to provide that yet because we don't have a paper trail for that. What we did last is we commissioned a study across the 26 universities to understand what the needs are of the students and where are students located. And interestingly, from that study and research, we found that 64% of our student base live on campus or very close to campus and rely very heavily on the resources provided by the university. So we try and link students to that as much as possible because the universities already by themselves provide a lot of support. And it's just a matter of ensuring that students are aware of that. So that goes back to our kind of ethos of connecting people and just being a platform that bridges. But we're 4 years old, so we're growing and expanding and trying to find more and more easier ways to support, and more need.
Thank you so much. Now let's go to the issue of COVID. We cannot talk about students and their education without looking at the impact of COVID on all spheres of life. And today I would like you to share with us really what has been the impact of COVID on your work and how are you pivoting?
Like I said earlier, we treat ourselves as a tech startup, very much. We are very agile. We use the kind of culture in the business because we're young and we're not almost burdened with some of the institutional frameworks that lots of organizations are struggling with. There's a lot of benefit in it. Of course, we need to prove ourselves. There's a lot of credibility that needs to be grown. But our ability to move quick and fast, we also hire very young, so our people are very young. And when COVID happened, we were able to very easily, I think, pivot and transition into remote working and continue to do our work. And our platform technically is an online digital platform. So we did have face-to-face and we did have campus activations. So we've stopped, of course, all of that and switched everything as far as possible into a webinar space. But the teams have been able to, I think, transition fairly easily. What we realize is, all of a sudden, campuses across South Africa closed down and students were sent home. And we didn't immediately react. We wanted to just take a second and see what was going to happen. Because in South Africa, the universities, they are very rich universities that have deep pockets that is, doing very, very well and can give students different kinds of support. And then we have in South Africa, the previously disadvantaged universities who are mostly rural universities, and they don't have as much financial resources or alumni base or receive as much funding from government. And we wanted to just see what each university comes up with and does, because we didn't want to overlap and do something that universities were doing already. So we use it as a fact-finding mission and spoke to everyone as often as possible to get a sense of what was happening on the ground. And then very quickly we realized that students were sent home, and many, if not the majority of South African students, do not have access to constant and good data at home, and a lot don't have computers. So earlier I told you that 64% of students live close or on campus. So they rely on computer labs at campus. Students share phones or share computers to do work on. It's not uncommon for students to, 4 or 5 students to use one computer device. And all of a sudden this became a huge issue. So we decided to focus almost as a response to COVID on a campaign for what we call Cap the Gap, that digital gap. And we partnered with incredible partners, and we started fundraising specifically for computers, data, and then food vouchers, because people were saying that they were hungry, they didn't have food at home. And the challenge for us there was, how do we now get these things to students in the middle of COVID, and in a way that we're not giving a student cash, because that's not our business principle. And we were able to do that through a couple of networks. So we partnered with an organization called Van Skyke, which is the student bookstore in South Africa. And they are on campus, but also have branches across the country. And they became our supplier. So they were able to we also couldn't find computers for months because there wasn't any available, they had to be imported. And then they started dispersing these computers for us to the students from Central to all of the shops. And then the student had to go collect it at the shop. And we were able to send students data on their phones, so give them a data voucher. And then we were also able, through ShopRite in South Africa, give students food vouchers, and you can then go claim the food voucher in the shop. So you never had the cash, but you had the food voucher. And we were able to do this within 6 weeks, and we raised 3.4 million rand and dispersed to about 600 students computers, data, and food vouchers for about 6 months during the most roughest time during that initial COVID period.
That is commendable. Share with us what your sustainability model would look like. I know you were founded in 2017, you're 4 years into operation, but how do you intend to achieve sustainability through your work?
So, I mean, that's a question, a very, very important question that we should all ask ourselves continuously. Feenix was set up with the support of Standard Bank, which is one of the big banks here in South Africa, and they're all across Africa, as a founding partner. And they also are our sponsor, which covers the operations cost of Feenix. And we have a contract with them in place. But that contract can run out, leadership change, you never know what might happen. So we knew that we can't only be reliant on this sponsorship. So we, as being in South Africa, we've diversified our portfolio. We're still in the process of it. We're not sustainable completely yet. But our numbers are looking really well, and we've hit all of our targets since inception. So we in South Africa have something called the broad-based black codes, which speaks to correcting issues from the past, from apartheid. So we are able as a nonprofit to tap into that, and we've been able to get some funding support through that mechanism. We also recently launched our first bursary program with a corporate, and that's a new model for us, and we're very excited about that. So we're not only doing the crowdfunding for individual students, we're also now in bursary management. And then we last year launched, in 2019 actually, sorry, November 2019, launched our social enterprise, which is owned by Feenix, which is the nonprofit. But the social enterprise is a profit entity, and we're trying to commercialize the technology in Feenix, in Wafunda, like I mentioned earlier. And that is to create alternative income streams for Feenix as we grow. So we're doing several things at the moment. And in Wafunda, we're busy with an income share agreement model, which is an ethical loan model. We're launching a financial literacy product soon with a UK partner. They're called Black Bullion. And we're busy with a bunch of products and projects in Wafunda, and hopefully as Wafunda grows, some of that profit can flow back into Feenix.
What plans do you have for the next 12 months?
For the next 12 months, we at the moment driving our Class of 76 campaign to raise some funding for students. We are, like I said, we just launched our first bursary program, so very excited about that and focusing on that. And then just to continue to support as many students in Feenix as possible. We're also introducing our financial literacy product to our Feenix students and to see how they go with that. It's really important for us to make sure young people understand how to manage money, how to get out of debt. It's a big problem in South Africa. So that is being launched in the next couple of weeks, actually. So that's very exciting. And then, yeah, on the Wafunda side, we're hoping to launch our loan product and grow our financial literacy product. We're also busy with expansion into the rest of Africa. We are working on a project, a refugee and migrant community platform, similar to Feenix, but for this community specifically in East Africa. And we're looking to see if we could take Feenix into sub-Saharan Africa, Malawi, and other places. So we're busy with those conversations and partnerships, and hopefully that will all, fall into place over the next couple of months and years.
That is so exciting. I am excited. I cannot wait to hear, when Feenix gets to East Africa. I am Kenyan from East Africa, so that is exciting. And I cannot just wait to see how this all unfolds and becomes one big international organization working across many African countries. Now, as we come to the end of this show, I would like you to give us your last message on, governments, civil society, good citizens, and how can they be engaged or involved in investing in education, especially for disadvantaged and marginalized students in tertiary or even in secondary school?
I think, every day South Africans is we are a very giving nation. There was a study that came out in 2019, and I think they said around 85% of South Africans donate time or money every year, and that's incredible. So we are a very giving nation. But we're also a nation that is facing and struggling with a lot of political and economic issues, and people can get despondent very quickly. So I think every single cent helps. We often feel like we can't make a difference as a people, but that is not true. There's so much power in the collective, and we see that on the Feenix platform. If you give 50 Rand or 100 Rand, that makes a huge difference. If enough people come together, we can make a very big difference in South Africa and ensure that young people are educated, because education is everyone's problem, right? You don't think it, but an uneducated youth is problematic for the youth, but also for everyone else. We need to buy into ensuring young people are educated for the future of the country. Our recent unemployment numbers came out 2 weeks ago, and the expanded definition of youth unemployment in this country, which looks at active job seekers, but also people that have given up, is currently sitting at 74% in South Africa. Only 1 in 4 young people under the age of 24 is working in the country. That's a big problem. And the dropout rate through our schooling system is huge. I looked at numbers last night. If 100 young people start school, grade 1 in South Africa, only 4 will go into tertiary education from that group of 100. So it is everyone's problem and everyone's challenge. Collaboration is always an issue. You know, we want to work closer with stakeholders. We don't have centralized data. And what this means is we often sit with, you know, our own silo data. There's no place to go to find adequate data for the country, which makes it difficult to have impactful solutions for everyone involved. So that, I think, is a huge issue. So I'm imploring other NGOs and other social enterprises to take hands and work together and share, have an open data mentality instead of, you know, not sharing information. We need to work together. And then in terms of government, you know, I would say that we want to work more closely with government, and government needs to privatize certain things that they're struggling with and allow those experts in the field, whether it's a non-profit or a private for-profit entity, to help government solve some of these key and critical issues in the pipeline, because there are. So my advice and recommendation would be we need to work more closely together, and allow people that's really good at certain things to do that job well and quickly, because we need it desperately here at home.
Very well said. What message do you have for any student who may be struggling to get funding for education, and where can they find you?
I would recommend, if you have good marks and you're able to go to post-secondary education training, to just don't give up hope. If you can't find scholarships or bursaries, come to Feenix. Feenix can help. We can support almost every student in South Africa. Like in the beginning, we were speaking about our criteria. It's very, very broad. So Feenix you can find on www.feenix.org. And Feenix is FEE, so that's a short for fees, and NIX, which is a colloquium term for nothing. So Feenix is no fees. So it's not like the bird, although that works as well, you know, rising from the ashes, but it is FEENIX, and you can find us on social media or on our website. And then don't give up the fight, you know, continue to there's lots of opportunity, there's lots of work opportunities and funding opportunities, and so many people that are willing to help. Just, you know, do your part, show up, and you know, come to Feenix if you need funding. We can surely help or support.
The last message is a special message that I would like you to send to every young person in South Africa on this June 16th Youth Day.
And we are incredibly proud for Africans that is fighting the fight and doing the work. There are incredible young people in this country. The talent is endless. And we are so very, very proud and excited to see what you do in the future. I know it's tough out there. I know it's hectic, and there's lots of struggles. Keep your head up high. Believe in yourself, rely on your community, and continue to do the good work, because you are the future of this country.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Leana, for joining us today at the NGO Whisperer Show.
Thanks for having me, Dr. Caroline. It was really nice to talk to you today.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us here at the NGO Whisperer Show as we talked about Feenix, a crowdfunding platform for South African students, and how they're supporting over 2,000 students and have raised over 77 million rand to support students pay for their education in South Africa. They are looking to spread into sub-Saharan Africa in the next few years, starting with countries like Malawi and going all the way to eastern part of Africa. Feenix, an incredible crowdfunding platform. We invite every individual, corporations, and companies around the world to collaborate with Feenix and support students complete their tertiary education. Join us at the NGO Whisperer. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on social media, and also we invite those who haven't submitted their application for our Global Fellowship Program to do so. The deadline is the 17th of June 2021, and we will begin the Global Fellowship Program on the 15th of July 2021 all the way to December, with a graduation ceremony in January 2022. Remember, it's all about connecting people raising funds, and impacting lives globally.